If someone is nearsighted, this means they can see things up close, but they can't see things far away. And if they don't get glasses, they might tend to only focus on things that are up close and personal to them. Now, I feel that there's a danger if we read the Bible with a nearsighted mindset. What I mean is this: we don't look at the Bible in light of eternity. We only read the Bible in light of the things we can see, the here and the now, things that are right in front of us. Today, just for a few moments, I want to talk about my favorite F word that will help us get the most out of our Bible. Okay, so we've been working through different F words that will help us get the most out of our Bible. We've talked about having faith, having friends. We talked about following the Bible. And today we're going to look at my favorite one. Before we get into it, I want to encourage you to share this video if it encourages you so others can be encouraged as well. Also, I want you to know next week we're going to start a new series called Temptation. All of us face temptation. Even Jesus faced temptation. And in this series, Temptation, I want to show you 3 big temptations that we face in today's world. Again, that starts next week. Okay, so my favorite F word that will help us all get the most out of our Bible is future. Future. We can't read the Bible with a present mindset only. We need to also read the Bible in light of eternity. We need to have an eternal perspective when we read the Bible. We need to live in light of eternity when we read the Bible. Notice something that Paul wrote in 1 Corinthians 15. He writes in verse 19, "If our hope in Christ is only for this life," he writes, "we are more to be pitied than anyone in the world." That's powerful. Paul is saying we can't have a faith or hope only for this life. We need to live in light of the future. We need to live in light of eternity. If we don't have an eternal lens, the truth is some things, they just won't make sense. It's going to be confusing. We'll be discouraged. Many of God's promises you see in the Bible, they're eternal promises, meaning you won't always see it in this life. My oldest daughter, I didn't realize she needed glasses. This was a few years ago until she went to the doctor, and we realized that she was reading some words and they were a little fuzzy. She never said anything. And when she put on the glasses, it was clear. She could see even better. I think some of us might read the Bible and things aren't really as clear because we're not reading in light of eternity. Eternity, the future, helps the Bible fit together. When Jesus first came, people rejected him. And they were confused because Jesus eventually allowed himself to be tortured on a cross. The very Son of God allowed himself to be tortured. This made no sense, but Jesus was living in light of eternity. He had the future in mind. For example, once when Jesus was arrested standing before Governor Pilate, I want you to listen very closely to what Jesus told him. John chapter 18, verse 36. Jesus said, "My kingdom is not an earthly kingdom. If it were, my followers would fight to keep me from being handed over to the Jewish leaders." But notice what he said. "But my kingdom is not of this world." That's powerful. Jesus is trying to tell us we need to live in light of the next world, not just this life. Sure, there are blessings in this life. Sure, we're supposed to live in the present, but we also need to live in light of eternity. Without eternity, life will never make complete sense as a Christian. For example, suppose someone bakes you a cake or brownies, okay? And you're so excited. It looks amazing. They had all the ingredients besides one. And you picked up the cake or the brownie, you bit into it, and it didn't have sugar. It had everything else, the flour, the eggs, everything, but they didn't put sugar in the cake or the brownie. You know what you would tell immediately? Something's off. This doesn't taste right. And I feel if we read the Bible, if we follow Jesus, and we're expecting everything to go well for us in this life, we're not reading the Bible correctly. We need to read it in light of eternity. Again, remember what Paul said. If our hope in Christ is only for this life, we're to be pitied more than anyone else. We have to read the Bible with a future mindset. Notice some of these scriptures that Paul wrote as we talk about focusing on a present hope and a future hope. 2 Corinthians 4:16 through 18, Paul writes to the believers in Corinth, "That is why we never give up. Though our bodies are dying, our spirits are being renewed every day. For our present troubles are small and won't last very long. Yet they produce for us a glory that vastly outweighs them and will last forever." He's pointing them to the future. Verse 18. "So we don't look at the troubles we can see now. Rather, we fix our gaze on things that cannot be seen. For the things we see now will soon be gone, but the things we cannot see will last forever." Also, Paul writes in Colossians 3:2, "Think about the things of heaven, not the things of earth." So I want you to read the Bible in light of the future. Don't be discouraged. If you're going through life, if you're studying the Bible, if you're trying to follow the Bible, if you're in community, if you have faith in the Bible, and you're dealing with persecution, you see other things around you that really aren't making sense. Maybe you haven't applied eternity to the Bible, because in eternity, we will truly see the Bible fits together perfectly. You know, when I talk to people about following Jesus, many people think of Jesus only for this life. So they might say, well, I'm not really sad right now, so I don't need Jesus. Or I got a lot of friends and I'm enjoying my life. I don't need Jesus. I have a lot of money. I don't need Jesus. And I want you to know we can't make Jesus a this life thing. He also wants to save us for the next life. So when I talk to people, I also try to point them to eternity. What are you going to do when you die and stand before God? I want to point them to the future. And this is when Jesus really makes sense to some people. For example, even Jesus, when he was talking to a crowd of people, he pointed them to the future when they were thinking about, should I or should I not follow Jesus? Notice what Jesus said in Matthew 16:24 through 26. "Then Jesus said to his disciples, 'If any of you wants to be my follower, you must give up your own way, take up your cross, and follow me.'" We talked about that last week. But notice what he says next. "If you try to hang on to your life, you'll lose it. But if you give up your life for my sake, you'll save it." And then he says in verse 26, "And what do you benefit if you gain the whole world but lose your own soul? Is anything worth more than your soul?" For those that were thinking of not following Jesus, Jesus pointed them to the day when they would lose their soul. What does that mean? I don't know exactly, but it's not good. Many people see the soul referring to our mind, our will, our emotions. It's our inner person. It's the thing that lasts forever. So Jesus could be telling them, if you don't want to follow me, you need to remember one day you will lose everything, even your own life. So point people to the future if they're deciding on whether or not to follow Jesus, because we shouldn't read the Bible in light of the present only. We also should read the Bible in light of the future. I hope this encourages you. I hope you trust in Jesus. No matter if you're sad, no matter if you have a good life, Jesus wants to save the whole world. If you have any questions about what it means to trust in Jesus, please email me at abe@choctawroad.com. Would love to answer any of your questions. Okay, so again, next week we're starting a new series called Temptation. I want to show you 3 big temptations we all face in our culture. I hope you tune in next week as we start that series. Share this video if it encouraged you so others can join in on the blessing. I want to leave you with these last words. Trust in Jesus while you can, because eternity is a long time to be wrong. See you next week.